All right, so this is you're next. You have the
I
topics.
do. It was something I was thinking about, and we'll talk about our takeaway from Inspector, which was our three with me, from a couple of episodes ago. But I want to talk a little bit about anime attention spans. I know that as I've gotten both older and also had more access to more anime, like there's a lot of stuff to watch, and a lot of ability to go back and find out and or be reminded of things that you missed, going back years and years. That while I have the free time to binge on a lot of shows or movies or other things, that my attention span for any individual anime is very low, with some like outliers in terms of things that are I that really tickle me, like personally. Like I really like them a lot. Like if I was running into Decadence a year from now, I would probably be marathoning right through it because it's such a strong
Mm-hmm.
story. But when it comes to those like mid-range shows or shows that I like, but they're not like exciting or they're not very gripping stories, my attention span has just like fallen off a cliff. I don't. The rule of three is something that a lot of people subscribe to just as a way to save time. But for me, I often find that like after three episodes, even if it's something I like, I'm just sitting there like, oh, do I have a headache right now? I don't really know if I really want to keep going. And I've been trying to determine whether or not it's just getting older. I still love the stuff, or if
Yeah.
it's something about the way a lot of like episodic anime is produced that it just sort of runs together in your brain, and you just have to take a break or like switch to something else to be able to appreciate what you're watching. So that's just been
I
something
would
I've noticed as I've had more of a task list every week of like watching stuff or trying to really go back and pick things that I dropped back up again now that I have the availability to do so. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, I would my most recent like marathon I would have to say would be Shokugeki no Soma, like catching up with this season so that we could talk about that episode in particular. And I honestly wasn't really like I guess I'm more conscious of like the time because I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to watch all this back to back. This is gonna be like, this is gonna be like 3 or 4 hours of like blah blah blah. It's gonna be gone. But then when I get to it and like I'm in it, I'm like, oh, this is going by much faster than I thought. And usually that's because I end up like skipping the opening and the intros and then beyond and like the little mini recaps at the beginning of things. I'm like, oh, this is actually like zooming the fuck by. So as long as things move, I don't have a problem. But then it also depends on the subject of the show. Like if it's a heavy ass like drama, then I usually am probably like, okay, I'm gonna watch this arc and then I'm gonna come back, maybe like in an hour or two because I can't like this is like emotionally draining me right now, especially when like huge things happen in shows. I'm like, oh man, if I'm not eating, or I don't know, that's weird, but if I'm not eating while I'm watching a show and I don't have something to like grab onto or bite into and basically be like, oh shit, then I'm gonna be like, all right, I need a break, like I gotta go. But my attention span, I usually can last for a while. I can usually finish the majority of like one current anime in like one day easily, as long as it's not like horror. If it's horror, then it's gonna take me like weeks to get through.
Right. I don't know. I feel I'm trying to think when was the last one. So I had to, just for purpose of like conversation with you and on the podcast. When I went back and I rewatched the last like 10 episodes of Re Zero season one. Right. This is not a show that I hated.
Mm.
I don't dislike the show at all. It's good. It looks really good. I had good memories of watching. I just couldn't remember specifically what had happened. So that's why I was going and doing the rewatch. And I found that like after like 2 or 3 episodes, I wasn't done with the show. I was like just done with watching something like that show. And it was surprising to me
Oh.
because normally I have very strong creative feelings about like why I'm either not enjoying something, and this one felt less about the actual thing I was watching and more about I don't have I just can't pay attention to this anymore. Like I want to watch something. Like I think afterwards I went and maybe I turned on HBO or something like that. So I was like still in a TV watching mood, but like the anime part of my brain had just burned out. And then there are
Yeah.
other times when I'm like watching something out of spite. We already talked about Misfit, um, or sorry, Irregular. Like like that show just burned me out. So, but I was
I don't
hate
know how you
watching it.
kept going.
Well, yeah, like I was in like a mood to make myself upset. So I had a clear goal there, and again, like I got through like 3 or 4 episodes, but I was already angry all the way through. So that was a little different. And there have been other shows before that I've just gone back randomly to see. Oh, this is on Netflix. Like, I remember liking this and putting it on, and but within a little bit, I'm like, all right, that's enough of this anime for now. So it's just odd that I just feel like there's something about the way some of these shows are produced today, because I can now, like, I'll be straight up, like I went and maybe like 2 months ago I was looking for like everything that a particular animator that I was familiar with had created, and I was on a wiki, and a show popped up, Generator Gull, which is like a sci-fi action series from like I think it was must have been like the late 90s, the early 2000s. But it had some like big names on it, and I remember like I'd watched the VHS tapes when they had come out. I was like renting them from whatever, and then I started renting the DVDs. But I'd forgotten about the show, and I found a pretty good copy online, and I said, all right, I'm gonna sit down and like watch the first few episodes. And for whatever reason, I did not feel the same way, and I don't know if that was like a
Oh.
nostalgia thing where like, oh well, this is it's older and it's part of something I'd seen in the past, so therefore like I'm more willing to put up with it, or if it maybe it's even like the way the shows are produced, like it was just slower, so I could just sort of like seep into watching it, and I've never once like turned off Cowboy Bebop or Trigun or even like old school DBZ. Like I can watch like episode after episode after episode, but some of this like the newer stuff, like I'm done after like attention wise after a very short period of time.
That makes sense.
But then that kind of like leads into the sort of the next thing, which is like finding new things to watch, and not necessarily new in the sense of for the season, but new to you. I know that what's been invaluable to me has been a lot of like Sakuga compilations on YouTube or getting
Mm-hmm.
clipped. But I'm curious, like, what is your go-to method? Like, when, like, no, how do you, what is discovery for you? Do you just like wait on the seasonal stuff? Are there curations that you like to follow that like clue you in to shit that like
It's
you missed from 5, 6, 7 years ago or older? Like, what's your go-to way of like finding new stuff to watch?
actually so yeah, it's kind of the similar in a similar vein to that, but how do I put it? I find a lot of shit through YouTube because of the videos that I watch. Because I like to watch a lot of Magical Girl Sakuga, and there's not a lot of Magical Sakuga on Twitter. So what I'll do is like they'll be pretty curious because there's shit tons of like really good like crazy Sakuga fight scenes of Pretty Cure. And what ends up happening is the Sakuga keyword gets knocked up into my algorithm, and then other things like pop up, and I'm looking for flip flappers. Have you heard of that
Yes,
one?
I remember that was the one that was like partially 3D.
Yeah, that shit has some fucking insane scenes in it. And I would not have known about that if the YouTube algorithm hadn't just randomly dropped it. And I was like, oh, well, but what is
Wait, so
this?
you did
Okay.
watch it? Is it any good?
No,
Because
I
I
didn't
watched
watch.
one
No, I did
episode, I
not.
had
I
no
did
idea
not
what the
watch it.
fuck was going on.
I did not watch it. I watched like a mini compilation of the Sakuga scenes, but it wasn't all of them. And I was like, okay, now I can get into this. I was like, but as far as the overall story and the show itself, I still know nothing of it. But it's definitely been added to my fucking list. As far as like things to watch, usually yeah, it's based off of stuff from that season. And so there's even I don't know if you probably heard this. There's this one called Operation Vivid Red, which is like
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure no one remembers this. I think this was like 2014, 13. This was when I was in grad school. But It's another like magical girl, like mecha one, alternate universe monsters are attacking and shit like that. If they touch the land, the world ends. Like,
Mm.
whatever. But that one, I found out about it, and it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad either. It had really, really good transformation scenes and fight scenes, and the music was pretty good. And the only reason I watched that one was because it was one of the only Magical Girl series that was airing that season. And I was like, I'll give it an episode. And the first episode actually wasn't really bad. And then it kept going. And I was like, hey, you know what? This might not be like Kill la Kill or whatchamacallit. It may not be like Kill la Kill levels of quality or like a Kame ga Kill or something like that. But, it's still interesting enough to where, hey, I'm not even watching that much this season anyways. And that goes back to the other point where I was interested in it. I watched like the first 5 or so episodes, stopped, and then once that season ended, I went back and I just like knocked out the last 6 or so episodes. And
Yeah.
was like,
Well, that's good because I was gonna ask about like binge watching versus like episodic stuff. Um, I don't know about like doing like I can only really follow like a few series week to week, and it's mostly because I just don't. I'm not aware of like the airing schedule of stuff. So I don't have like I like on at least on using Crunchyroll for the simulcast because at least then I know that there's one place I can go that's going to alert me of the schedule ahead of time. So like I know, for example, this season that God of High School will be out on a Monday, right? So I can sort of plan around being able to see it, and then I can follow it week to week. But one of the big problems I always had before was I don't know when shows are dropping, and because I was using a lot of like fan sub stuff, it was all so sporadic. So like my preferred
whenever
method,
they would, yeah.
even though I just complained about like anime attention span, is to be able to like chunk through a few episodes at once. Maybe not like totally binging on a show, but to like if there's like a part that I don't particularly feel like watching, I don't want to feel like if I skip ahead 2 minutes, I'm now wasting like 10% of the enjoyment I'm gonna get of the week out of the show. So having like a lot of stuff built up is like usually better for me. But ironically, that's meant that like I miss on like movie releases and stuff because I literally have no idea when these things come out. Right? You'll see all like the promo stuff for like a really interesting looking anime film, and then because the U.S. release date, I have no earthly idea when it's happening. I just forget that that it exists. So I've probably missed every single theatrical release, with the exception of like DBS Broly, in the last like 12 years, because I literally just haven't had no idea when these things come out.
I usually get that info from Twitter, but that's probably because I follow a lot of the like the Crunchyroll or like the publishing accounts and shit like that. So
yeah, I mean that's why it took me like a million years to watch Promare, because I just didn't know when it was coming. I forgot about it. At some point there was when it got like a US sub release, like limited release, and a friend of mine was like really hot on like, oh, we're gonna go to see it in the theater, blah blah blah, and then it just didn't happen, and I just forgot that the movie existed. So it's been a thing. I feel that one of the big problems that I've noticed is like these streaming platforms have bought up a lot of new titles is that I still don't necessarily know where I'm supposed to watch a lot of stuff, and I don't have a service that I trust that's like not fan generated to present to me things that I don't necessarily know that I want to see. Like getting clips of stuff is somewhat helpful if there's enough information attached to that clip to like actually find the thing. Like I saw there was a clip that was doing the rounds like a week or so ago of some another like Chinese production that looked fucking amazing, and I have no idea where to find it.
Yeah, I definitely do see clips of Chinese shows, and unless I research it right there in that moment, it's usually just like lost in the wind for me.
Yeah.
Like it's gone.
And I feel like one of the things, just to put to shift away from anime, but just stepping back a bit, curation and promotion are two areas that I feel they're very, very poor for how digital a lot of this like media has become.
Yeah.
Manga and anime are incredibly popular. They make a ton of money. Likewise, like especially now that everyone's like locked at home, movies and streaming and everything else is sort of we've accepted this at this point. You're getting full theatrical movie releases totally online. This is a norm that people are accepting. However good
Mm-hmm.
these films are, it is what it is. When I turn on the TV here in the United States, I can get bombarded with reminders that the new Mulan movie is coming out, and here's what it looks like. Here's a trailer. Here's blah, blah, blah. But I still think that services like Netflix, Hulu, even like HBO and Crunchyroll especially, which is like anime driven, do still have not figured out how to promote what people want to see, especially when it comes to anime. And it's so strange to me because, especially for Crunchyroll, like I've paid for an account for a long time. I don't know if you have been a customer of theirs in
Yeah,
the
I pay
past
for
versus
VRV.
where they're at right now. But like Crunchyroll, on the one hand, they're doing fine with like their own new production of just like letting you know it's out there, making sure it's at the top of their page or on the app service, like whatever. But when I go on like on the Xbox app, they'll tell me what they're simulcasting, but like there's no recommendations there that are any good. And they have a gigantic library, like a huge library. I just feel like this is a big problem because what's the point of like HBO going and buying like 100 anime series, but then like all they do, you go to like anime section and it's like Ghost in the Shell and whatever, like just the big popular ones. Like exposing the other stuff to me is how you make these libraries work, and I'm so disappointed every time. Why am I on YouTube running through like unlabeled clip like Sakuga compilations to just find something to watch? Like that just seems like a very inelegant solution to all the anime that's out there. I don't know if you've had that experience.
Yeah, I, to be honest, now that I think about it, I kind of do rely on YouTube a lot as far as like exposure to newer animes. Yeah, is that true? Yeah, that's true. Cause I also, what do I do? I like, well, I'm pretty sure this is obvious, but I really like openings and endings. Like the music of a show is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't even have anything to do with the show. Case in point, Divine Gate.
Yo, you put me on that
Divine,
one. Is it the Hitorie? Is that the two hearts?
the Two
I
Hearts.
think that's the name. Is that
Uh-huh.
the name of the song?
Oh, maybe is it? Let me look it up. Oh, well, yeah. Okay, so no, yeah, that song. Let me see. Divine Gate opening is the name of the song. Two Hearts. You know what? That's a shame because I should know the name of the song because that's the only reason why I even fucking watched
Yeah,
the
I
show.
think that's the one because you'd mentioned it to me and I went and looked it up and it's actually one of my favorite songs.
Yeah,
It's really
one me, two
yeah,
hearts.
yeah. It's actually really
Yeah,
good.
it's so fucking good. That song is is on my phone, is on my iPad, it's on everything. It's everywhere. I love that song, and the show is utter
It's
garbage.
garbage.
It's boo boo. Like it is so bad. I gave it 6 episodes. 6 fucking episodes. And it was so, oh my god, like I didn't think this is what happens. It's because YouTube, what will happen is when I'm like, whenever there's a new season, there's always the shows that I watch. And then what'll happen is people will do like compilations of the openings of other shows. And actually, this is kind of how I got into watching Slime also. So what I'll do is I'll randomly like I'll be like, okay, we're like 2 or 3 weeks into the season. That means like everyone's opening should be out. So then I'll go on YouTube and I'll like find those like compilation videos and I'll watch those. So as soon as I watched Divine Gates, I was like, oh my god, like this shit looks like it's gonna be fire. Like this opening song, the animation in the opening was pretty good too. So I was just like, I'm kind of here for this. Like, oh my god, utter garbage.
Yeah, and
Utter fucking garbage.
low key admission is like I have a short list of songs that I feel go with everything, and so especially with like uh, Sakuga compilations or particular
Mm.
like hype scenes from shows, and Two Hearts is on that list now. Um,
As it
like
should be.
I'll like spin something if I'm bored, and I'll like spin up the Sakuga, mute it, put on Two Hearts. That shit slaps. Like it's really good. So
It's so good. Oh, this is such a huge disappointment. Now I'm disappointed all over again. And then you have things like Slime, which I mean Slime wasn't Slime honestly was not on my radar. Like when it first came out, it was not on my radar. I caught on to it at when it was on episode 3, but
oh
when it
really?
first dropped, yeah, when it first dropped, I was like, "Oh, it's another isekai. I may or may not hit it up. We'll see." Blah 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 blah. But then I saw the opening, and I saw the ogres like beating ass in the opening. So I was like, "Hold up,
I found
I
it
kind of want
through
to see
manga.
this."
Someone had recommended it to me, and I just slept on it for a while. I was like, I'll get around to because it wasn't, it's not that long running. So
Mm-hmm.
usually, if I see something with like under 50 chapters, I'll be like, I'll wait and see where it goes.
Yeah,
Not because I'm not gonna
but
read
it's
it, just
good.
so there's like material built up. But I had wound up
Exactly.
reading it before I think maybe right before there had been an announcement that they were gonna get an adaptation. So like,
Oh.
I actually stopped reading it because I was worried that the material I was reading was gonna um like I didn't know how much they were covering, so I was like, maybe I'll leave some surprise for myself since I'm enjoying this thing. But yeah, I didn't connect with it as much on the musical end, at least on the score. I think we talked a little bit about like just good scores and or ones that suck, but
Mm-hmm.
like this in particular, I liked the show. I don't know if I liked any of the songs in it particularly.
For Slime,
Yeah,
yeah, no, the soundtrack really doesn't really leave much to be desired. It basically was just the opening and the endings,
yeah.
like that was it for me. I guess what other? I mean, yeah, if we want to talk about like a soundtrack that is like meant for a show, you can talk about My Hero Academia. Like everything in that
Oh
show
yeah, oh yeah,
matches the
yeah.
mood like exactly. And then I'm definitely gonna highlight as far as like soundtracks that are just flawless. The and I particularly the first season of Kekai Sensen's soundtrack is you can't say
It's
anything.
really
Like
good.
it's so fucking good, and it every scene and every motif and every sound and every battle, like everything about that first season, musicality wise, in addition to a lot of the other stuff. But like that was perfect.
Yeah. Also, I think Banana Fish had a pretty good soundtrack. I'm just trying to recall. I don't think I ever listened to it like back to back, but I remember being entertained while the show was running. What else?
Mm.
Gangsters was
I still need to
okay.
watch Banana Fish. I keep hearing people recommend that.
It's an interesting show. It's one of those real. It's a drama that's more grounded in realism. There's a fair amount of violence that's there. I think that what may have put there's two things that may have put people off from watching it. I think the first
Well,
was that the presentation, the characters are very realistic, but
uh
the
huh.
trailers didn't really do a good job of telling you anything about like what the show was gonna be. It's because it's like
Mm.
real. Everything is grounded in our world. There's no like magic and mayhem and other stuff like that. It's a really, I won't say like mundane. It's not boring. It's just you have to want to watch that kind of show. But then the other thing is that if
Yeah.
you watch the first episode, one of the first things that happens is male rape on the main character.
Mm.
And I'm
I've seen it recommended in the BL community, but
yeah,
it's
but
but
like
it's not like
this occurs. It's very important to the story. But I have talked to at least two people, no, maybe three, who dropped it basically on that merit. So they just were not comfortable
mm.
with seeing that because they didn't have any idea what they were getting into. And then, of course, like the show itself is a very like a crime drama, and there's some like BL stuff in there, but it's not. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was oppressive or annoying. So it's just a good show. It's well written. Interesting stuff happens. Characters are all cool and interesting. It's set. A lot of it is set in the West, and so it's like I love shows that are like the funhouse mirror of my own culture being reflected back to me through someone else's culture. Like how do Japanese people deal with what ingest and relate to like their what's their vision of like New York City in 2018, right? Like, is it because a person spent time there or they did research? Is it like fantastical? Is it what's going on? Like, what is their vision of the United States? I think that's just it's just a little interesting bit of information that you can pull out of a show. So I always like, well, I'll give a little bit of extra time and consideration, even to the ones that where it's like a joke, like what show was it? Is it Hero Man? I don't know if you remember that one.
Hero. Oh, is that the one where it was like? Is that the Stan Lee?
Yeah, Stan Lee was involved in it.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
It was set on like a city in the West Coast of the United States, and so it was an interesting show. It was not bad. I would say it's like a good like B plus kind of like action sci-fi for like kids though, like aimed a little bit younger. But like I immediately was interested in following it because you don't really get too many anime that are set in the United States. So it's all about like what is this person's idea of what it's actually like to be here, even in like a fantastical kind of way. So I know it's kind of a tangent, but like that sort of thing always like tickles my fancy. And Banana Fish did have like a good score though. And then actually, funny enough, Hero Man had a pretty good score. Like I think I remember
I remember
the main theme of that show being really good.
Yeah, that was the only reason why I knew about it. I didn't watch it, but I enjoyed that main theme, and I was just like, "Ooh, yeah, I like this." Same thing with Captain Earth.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
yeah.
I actually
I just had no idea what was going on. That's all.
Listen, I pushed the fuck through that show because I had faith, and it. To be honest, it wasn't worth it. But the openings were cute. Like, I mean, you can't really go wrong with. But Bones knows how to do their openings.
Yeah,
like,
they do.
They usually get some really good artists to do their openings, and so usually I'm just like, okay, I trust that I'm gonna see some of this action in the opening. That I'm seeing in the opening in the show, when in actuality, you niggas just gonna talk a lot and be depressed.
Yeah.
But okay, they got my ass with that one, which is why now I'm not so gullible with like, oh, it has a really good opening, I'm gonna watch the show. Now I'm just gonna be like, oh, this opening is really good, and if I'm bored one day, maybe I'll give you an episode or two of a watch. But other than that, yeah, it's a no.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is, especially for like next season, there are some shows that like I'm all the way in on, and I'm gonna be mad if the openings suck. Like,
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Like they need something iconic, and I think I heard a snip of like what the opening song is gonna be, and I'm like, why not this?
Oh no!
They like some of these shows need something like Promise Neverland.
They need a Demon Slayer.
Or like Demon Slayer was good, but like the Promise Neverland opening, like where are those bangers? Like why does every show not have one of those?
Because those motherfuckers are retiring. Well, I think TM Revolution just got married, so he's probably about to chill the fuck out for a
God damn it! They're just people that I want to clone. Can we just like?
Well, there are also there are a lot of good like indie Japanese singers on YouTube. There's some YouTube channel where they always get together and they always they do covers of like the most popular and like latest anime openings, and it's always with just like these different people in different locations. It's always through Zoom calls. They've always been doing it through Zoom.
Oh, for real? That's interesting.
Or I think they've always all been doing it through Zoom. And there are some people on there who literally are just like, why are you on YouTube? Like, you need to be getting checks. But then also, like, some of them don't look like celebrities, even though they have the voice.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, okay,
so
I get that.
Can we just start a GoFundMe that just pays for the cloning of Yuki Hayashi and Haruyuki Sawano, and just call it a
He
day.
just hit 40. No, I am not wishing to. Actually, yeah, we need a clone of him because he can't go nowhere. That is, he kind of made Aldnoah Zero for me. I'm not gonna lie, he really did make it. Keep on keeping on.
That's one of my favorites.
Whatever. That shit is so good. Brave the Ocean.
Yes.
From Brave the Ocean is from. Brave the Ocean isn't even from Aldnoah Zero. It's from Ray Creators, which I didn't even watch.
Yeah,
but I know of the song.
Go watch Ray Creators. Good.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
It has a magical girl.
Song. I know, but I got spoiled on what happens to
her.
So
come on.
I'm kind of just like, is it worth it anymore?
Come on. Here's a crazy
Blame
thing.
YouTube.
So,
blame YouTube.
Do you are you familiar with like the J-drama scene?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so Sawano also did the music for a show called Team Medical Dragon.
Oh no! I think. Oh my god! Wait! I think I know the song that comes from that because I follow this Sawano Hiroyuki Discord, and I think it's called Team Medical Dragon.
Yeah, that was a show. He did the whole. I think for like 1 or 2 seasons, he did like the entire like soundtrack for it. There are so many fucking bangers on that soundtrack. I went and watched. I don't watch like dramas of any kind, and I went and watched like half a season of Team Medical Dragon just because that music was so good.
Oh my god! Wait, do I know something from the Tears of the Dragon? Okay, I don't know particular songs, but I do know I've heard a few of them in compilations.
Oh yeah, they're always in there. Like you'll be listening to these compilations, you'll be like, wait, where did that come from? Like I've never heard this. There's no anime like this. And then you look it up and it's like from again like some like TV drama that he did some work for, or I was already interested in it, but like Thunderbolt Fantasy, when I found out that he was involved with that soundtrack, I was like, I would watch paint dry. But it turns out Thunderbolt Fantasy is also ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that a while back, and because I remember when I first saw it, I think it was when it was returning, and I was like, "What the fuck is this shit? And why is it on season 2?"
Even if I had reservations, the first episode of Thunderbolt Fantasy sold me forever. A man gets his ribs blown out of his own back, like by a piece of wood. It is the sickest shit ever.
And it's all puppets,
it's fucking puppets. You'll forget that like not only are they just puppets, the mouths barely articulate, and they'll be like having full on conversations. Oh my god.
Okay, this.
But it's fucking sick, and the soundtrack is also ridiculous. The action choreography is also ridiculous. Like they put a lot of effort into like the special effects, and there's a lot of like physical stuff, and they don't give a fuck. Like people be getting chopped in half, like blood is everywhere. It's crazy.
Oh my god. I mean, I probably wouldn't mind it because it's the puppets, to be honest.
If watch the first episode, I say this to anyone. If you are on the fence, you think this is weird, you don't think you get into it, watch the first episode, and if you aren't frantically clicking to see the next one, then fine. But I don't know a soul alive who could see some of this shit and there's like good voice acting and the sound and be like, oh, I'm not gonna watch this because it's puppets. Like, fuck that. I'm on puppets now. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Anything that Sawano touches, I'm here for it. I am.
Yeah. I just don't think there were any bangers from this season that really got me. But next season, Jujutsu Kaisen has to come out the gate with some hot shit. If not on the opening, the music has to be good. This is like, I'm pinning my hopes on this one really being like stepping up into top 5 shonen status. Like it has to do it. Really? Like of like what's airing, you know, like what's modern. Because like Attack on Titan's going away, Fire Force is running, Black Clover is running, One Piece is running. I feel like
Mappa. I feel like they're gonna get it right.
I just need them. I need them to. I need it.
Wait, does that mean aren't they supposed to be doing Attack on Titan the final season too?
Yeah.
So I guess we're not getting it because apparently that was supposed to air with next season, but they haven't said shit about it since they did the 4th season trailer.
Didn't I there's a part of me that says there was some news on it like within the last week, or maybe one of the last chapters came out, and that's where that was.
Oh, maybe it had to do with one of the last chapters.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
is that probably gonna end in a similar way to where how Full Metal Alchemist ended, where like the last chapter came out and then the final like 2 episodes of the anime came out like 2 weeks
Yeah,
after
see,
that?
that's what I don't know. They seem like they're trying to time it in that way. But
Mm.
they, you know what the release schedule is like. Unless they're planning
Yeah,
on
is it
ending
monthly?
in, well, I mean, I guess yeah, it is one. So December, October, November. Yeah, so December. So that means that there'd only be 3 more chapters between now and when the anime would have to end, and it feels like
Oh.
they are wrapping up, but I don't know if they're gonna be wrapped up in 3 chapters. And it's
Mm.
monthly, so it may be the case that like they already have the ending and what it's going to be, and the chapters will just roll up through the anime into the end. I don't know. That's gonna be awkward unless they hit you with the 2 core shit.
Ugh. I mean, I was already expecting it to be 2 cores. I didn't think they were gonna be able to
No,
wrap
they
up the
can't.
rest
There's
of.
there's there's like 3 arcs. Like I don't know what they're gonna do.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Well, no, no, no. I mean, like of the. So the. I mean, look, I'm not here to spoil anything for Attack on Titan watchers. So I'm gonna be as circumspect as I can. Where season 3 ended, there
Mm-hmm.
are at least 2 full arcs in my mind, including a time skip between that and where the manga is right now. So the ending of the series, the final everything. So
Yeah.
that feels like a 2 core situation. I don't think you could cram a lot of that into 6 episodes, especially all the things because the time skip happens, and then they kind of have to like spend time reestablishing all the things that change during the time skip. So
Oh my god.
yeah, I don't know.
So this isn't. Why are they calling it the final season then? The fuck?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. It could just be a 2 core situation, but I have no insight. I've done no like research to figure it out. In a weird way, like I kind of don't even want to watch it because
Really?
it's heavy. So
Oh, it's
it's
heavy.
heavy and weird. Heavy and like it. There's like time travel and other things.
Oh, well, that's not surprising
It's
based
not
off
the
of the.
worst form, but we can save that conversation.
Yeah, well, that's definitely coming in the future. I feel, whenever it does come. But all right, so I feel like I've had Ray creators on my list for the longest time. I need to just get it out the way. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, because I definitely enjoyed her like bursting a heart on Homegirl and Homegirl hitting the pavement and blood spewing out of her fucking mouth. I was like, what?
Yeah, watch it. Watch
Like,
it. It's
what? What just happened?
self-contained and interesting, and you really can't ask for more than that.
I think the episode I got to was where the government reached out to them
Okay, so
and
that's
said they
about like
had some.
episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, that was like 5 or 6.
Okay, so there's not
Yes.
that much of
Yeah.
it. That you...
So I guess I can just start from the jump again because I still don't really remember. I just know that homegirl. Well, whatever. Anyways, we'll get to that another day. Um,